Is someone stealing from you out of competition, envy, or punishment, maybe? Let's dig into it a little bit more. We've got thief in the shadow, stealing money, creative ideas, affection, or other powers you think you lack. And this is an interesting follow-up to the last reading with the Crew of Cups. Because whatever plot, scheme that was going on there that represented, that got interrupted. It got foiled. And so now, something that tends to follow those events, the person who knows, person or people who know they've been doing something wrong, they'll go out of their way to make people's lives difficult who may have had a hand in righting a wrong, something like that. So it could be a punishment. It could also be ego, trying to prove themselves as worthy competition after being defeated. And one of the things that was kind of telling me that it was a competitive nature, because once I start getting ready for a reading, then everything starts to become relevant to the reading. And I was trying to light this candle here, and neither of my barbecue lighters were working, the long ones. And I think it's gotten to the low point that, like at that depth, when I click the thing, there's too much gas and not enough air for it to ignite. So I ended up using an incense stick to light it. But just that interference in getting the candle started seems like trying to snuff out your flame before you even get a chance to be a competitor. So we'll get some charms, because I kind of want to see maybe some identifying clues to this thief, who this might be, because thieves don't tend to operate like right in your face. They can. They're really audacious. Get some more letters. There we go. So what do we have for letters? I see a lot of E's, a lot of vowels. So H, L, E, E, L, I, another E, 3 E's so far, and a fourth E, and a fifth. Geez. So maybe that's important. And what's the... It's the 5th letter in the alphabet? Maybe something about that? Hierophant card? The 5th in the tarot? O-I. Another I. A lot of repeats. So copying your work. That's what I'm getting from that. I don't know if even what anything could spell here is necessarily important, because that's just the vibe I'm getting. And this looks like a stag. Going stag just came to mind. Maybe doing your own thing for a bit. Maple leaf, a red one. Root chakra. So foundations. Material concerns, money. Things like that. This looks like little scarecrows. There's 2 of them. Twins. But one's bigger and one's smaller. I'm getting more of that copy energy. Another red leaf. So more emphasis on the root. Maybe even sensual concerns. Yeah. Sacral. Orange. An orange leaf. And a pumpkin. But that one's kind of dull. I don't know how that's picking up on camera, but it's a really dull, like, sage color. And this fish, so Pisces, maybe? And I like those, like, bug-eyed goldfish. I think they're cute. An elephant. Wisdom. Knowledge. Never forgetting. Like, not letting things from the past slip the mind. An owl, more wisdom, more emphasis on that. And, oh, a sad flower. Like, this is going to be disappointing, finding out who is the thief. Maybe someone you know in that case, not just some random internet stranger who's, like, stealing off your YouTube channel or Instagram, whatever. Because there's a lot of different ways to do that now. AI in particular. Like, I've even seen on some of the AI images recently the watermarks from the original art in the AI slop. Like, it's just so brazen now. It's like there's no... I mean, there's no honor amongst thieves, that's for sure. Well, let's see. I've got the... what is this? The Dead Inside deck. So what's the surrounding situation around this thievery? So I'm going to go with that copy example. Why are we copying? And this could even be like in the workplace. It doesn't have to be necessarily a creative endeavor. It could be copying your ideas, taking them, you know, to the boss first, something like that. Maybe mimicking you in some way. You have desirable personality traits. Oh, and that was gonna be upright, because this whole deck is upright, but it topsy-turvied. I'm fine. Suppression, numbness, facade. They are not fine. And, I mean, anybody who would steal from someone they know, yeah, not fine. Something more going on behind in the background. I'm almost getting, like, something is known. People can see it happening, but trying to wear that mask, like, nuh-uh, nothing's happening here. So what are we not fine about? What's going on? Ostentation, but in reverse. Saturn in Taurus. So losing, like if we carry through from the last example, that theater example, losing whatever gain would have been gotten through the drama of a lifetime, or maybe selling the theater to private equity, something like that, like some sort of gain that was not got. And this isn't even like meeting needs and some wants, you know. This is luxury, status, the rich and the famous. It's like that dream has been dashed in some way, and then that's the justification for the stealing. It's like somebody that thinks they're owed power and fame, something like that. Very, like, superior. And I did the dice roll, and I got Cancer again, which I don't think I mentioned in the last reading, but Cancer, the 7th house, and Mars. It's a very emotional battle over equity, justice, relationships. Also thinking that in terms of the Justice card. Because if they're scheming, an individual, some individuals, whole group, if they're scheming to get ahead, and then they just keep doing it after being defeated, there's some sort of paper trail. There's some sort of, they're going to get caught because they're just being too bold. Or just like, we see you, like we see the game. But then this thievery, it's like somebody's got desirable personality traits that provide some sort of cover in public, yeah. Publicity. Jupiter in Leo. And patience. Jupiter in Virgo. Two Jupiter cards. Impatient. This just like a fervor to control the public narrative. Here we go. Because that briefly came up in the last reading. Because that is why I wanted to dig into this. Like, what is this narrative that you were supposed to fit into, but you didn't, and now something's screwed up? But there's also all the damage control of some sort of situation not working out, and then trying to fix it by stealing from you, like stealing your work, stealing your personality, something like that. I don't know. And they're pointing at a star up there. It's almost like, look over here specifically, because there's more stars, and the one is being lit up. And there's also like radiance coming off of the earth and the sun. But only wanting people to pay attention to this one thing. Like perception management. So what's the narrative behind maybe you? Like how they're trying to paint you as to justifying this thievery. What light are they trying to paint you in? Oop. That's two. I'll take both of those. And they're both in the shadow. So we've got hedonist, pursues pleasure to the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others, and child eternal, inability to grow up and be responsible, extreme dependency on others for physical security, while they're stealing from you. Like you're the dependent one, you're the one that can't take care of yourself, but they're stealing from you, which may actually be impacting your ability to take care of yourself. Because, like, I'm thinking of terms of adults in terms of the group, like not necessarily school age, could be, but more like grown-up rivalry, which is so petty because it has real impacts on people's lives. Not to say bullying doesn't in schools, but this would impact like somebody's ability to take care of their own kids. You know, you're stealing their work to pay for your bills. Like, what about them? They're the ones actually doing the work. And this pursuing the pleasures at the detriment of health, indulges at the expense of others. You know, hedonism is pleasure for the sake of pleasure, enjoying something for the sake of it. I don't see that as bad in and of itself. It can get very distorted, yes, but this is the kind of person that will paint a woman as a harlot or something for like going on a date, for sleeping with someone new, as if it's any of their business. Like, God forbid a woman act like an adult. You know, it's that sort of really derogatory and like, oh, they don't know any better, they don't know anything about the world and whatnot, and not finishing the rest of the story and like, oh yeah, also I'm tormenting them and making their life really difficult because I'm stealing money from them and then saying that they're bad with money and things like that, like creating all of these problems and then going, it's their fault, see how bad they are, all to assuage their ego, whatever. I did also mention the punishment thing. Like maybe this is someone that you rejected. Um, Gently, maybe? Because that candle, that's a very gentle flicker. It could have even been in passing, kind of. Like someone who wasn't explicitly like, hey, do you want to go on a date? Like it was something like, hey, do you want to hang out? Which that's not asking someone out on a date. It's not. Um, but you turn them down. Maybe you caught the vibe and just like, no. Or you don't fraternize at work, something like that. And just like, no thanks. But now they're making your life a living hell. Because they feel entitled to your time, entitled to your attention, and I guess entitled to your money, which they're not. That's insane. So what spawned this spurred? Said yes when you meant hell no. Resentment, self-betrayal. Even your spirit guide quit. Disillusionment and abandonment. Well, this speaks to being disingenuous about intentions, like maybe saying, hey, do you want to hang out, when really it was like trying to lure you into a date situation. Like if you can't be upfront, don't ask. It's not fair to them. They deserve to consent based on what the actual intent is, as that starts to crackle. And then maybe this person is a practitioner, spiritual, religious in some way, could have consulted with their guides, with a pastor, and all of the above were like, stop doing what you're doing. Or just like, this person isn't interested in you and they're allowed to say no. Like, leave them alone. And maybe this person just kept, well, how can I, well, what if I, well, this, well, that, well, the other, and they're just like, enough. This is enough. I don't want to hear it anymore. This person doesn't want anything to do with you. Leave them alone. And then they turn around and steal from them in some way. And if someone is being dishonest about what their intent is, they're stealing your time. Like someone who says, like, friends, platonic, whatever, but they're waiting, like, for their moment to ask you out, sweep you off your feet, like, whatever. This is not an 80s movie. This is real life. Like, grow up. If you're interested in somebody, ask them out. If they say no, sky's not gonna fall. I don't think the appification of our dating lives have helped people manage rejection or conversation skills in that situation. They've not improved that in any way, shape, or form. But, so what is going on with this disingenuine, like trying to paint you in this light? Well, and this did mention stealing affection. So maybe the competition is another suitor, and they're trying to, like, snuff out the flame before it even starts. Little crackles. And convince them that you're some sort of harlot, like Jezebel, something like that. So that you, who from this vibe I'm getting is not interested in them anyway, might give them a chance. And that sort of mindset, like, people just don't understand. If the person, maybe the apple of your eye, isn't interested in you for whatever reason, whether it's artificial or organic, because of interference, that doesn't make you available to them, to a person that you were not attracted to. Like, they can't conceptualize. Maybe there's some vanity going on. Like, they can't conceive that you wouldn't be interested in them. Something like that. What's going on here, though, with this competitive, trying to snuff things out before they start? It just sounds like a tyrant. And somebody that feels justified in doing it, too. Fortune in reverse, Sun in Leo. So maybe carryover from the last reading. Somebody's pissed off that they didn't get their ill-gotten gains, or what would be ill-gotten gains. And now they're taking it out on you just in, like, every area of your life. Like, major stalker, needs to be kept away from the public sort of behavior. Submission, yeah. Venus and Pisces. This is someone, if this is ringing bells, who this is talking about, maybe I'm speaking to them. Maybe I'm speaking to a cross-watcher. Stay away from them. And if this is the cross-watcher watching, stop. Stop what you're doing. Get your ish together before you end up in jail. Because this kind of behavior, that's where you belong. People get to live their lives. They get to have agency. If they don't want to spend time with you, that's their prerogative. And stealing things from other people because you didn't get your way, not okay. That's not an okay thing to do. Figure out how to make your own money. Not steal from people. But anybody who's acting in this sort of entitled energy and with this sort of, like, anger, there's a real potential for volatility. And, I mean, if this is ringing a bell, who this is talking to, you probably don't even want to hang out with them anyway. But it's sort of the watch out for the last ditch effort, something like that. Maybe they are going to jail. Yeah. They're way out of line, whatever they're doing. Domination, fulfillment in reverse, and assertion. Mars in Sagittarius, Saturn in Sagittarius, and Sun in Aries. That's a lot of fiery energy. And only Pisces in this position is not the fire sign. So there's 1 water, 4 fire. That's very unbalanced. So domination and submission. So if you don't submit, the next move is domination as the clock chimes. I would be very careful around this person. Like, I'm not intending to instill fear or anything like that. But I'm a big fan of Laura Richards' work because she does not downplay the severity of stalking and stalking behaviors. And online stalking counts. That's a huge part of our world now, and people blow it off all the time as not being serious. It is serious. And it's dangerous, too. Because people could be trying to get into their passwords, stuff like that, and they can mess with their money, they can mess with their credit, things like that. It's real. Even if it's online, it's real. And all because they weren't able to fulfill their little scheme, which is like something illegal. Maybe like a white collar crime or something. Not one of those that would get painted as like a violent crime. It's like office crime. And again, severity not appreciated, because those office crimes, those impact like multiple people's livelihoods when people do that. Because think about somebody stealing somebody else's ideas in the workplace. Say that goes on for a while, and say that person gets promoted instead of the person who actually has the idea. And now the person who was stealing the ideas and was lying is in charge of something critical, something really important, something they don't actually know how to manage, and the person who does know how to manage it isn't at the helm. And then something goes wrong, and then they're not there to fix it. Like, they're creating problem after problem after problem. So where's this? Actually, what are the problems that are being created by this? What's the impact this person is having? I'm angry. Like, I'm fired up. And I wasn't. I was really relaxed when I started this. I had a nice, easy morning with a chai. Gosh. I'll relax again. I'm good at that. Student in the shadow. Arrogance in the pursuit of destructive knowledge. Unwillingness to translate knowledge into action. So this is like, if we go with the workplace example, the workplace where nothing really gets done. Like, there's the critical things, like the things that could impact management and whatnot, and like how they're perceived. And I think, of course, the things the actual business does, but it's like the background stuff that people blow off that actually is important, but it's not front and center. So it's just like backburnered over and over again until it becomes this big monster that everybody's got to deal with. It's like that person who actually knows how to do the thing is not where they're supposed to be in this organization. And so now there's a whole structural imbalance in the group, in the hive mind, if you will, because there's its own, it's like a group think when you're dealing with any sort of social structure, whatnot, a team, an organization. It kind of has a life of its own. It's not sentient like we are, but it has behaviors and stuff like that. And if the right people aren't in the right places, it starts to go wonky. Kind of like if you're in an environment that's unhealthy for you, or you see it in pets when they're like in pain and they can't convey it with words, and then behaviors start to emerge, undesirable behaviors. It's because you're reacting to like something's wrong in the soil, like the pH is wrong, something like that. It's very foundational. And there's just no appreciation from people like this of the negative impact that they're having on an environment, for them to just step back and like, okay, I'm not the right person for this, or I'm not ready, or whatever. Made a mistake. Instead, it becomes this cacophony of, like, couldn't scheme here, maybe I can scheme there. Still not over it, yeah. Regret, looping thoughts, lingering feelings, convincing yourself it's fine, denial, emotional suppression. Still not over it. So some sort of rejection? So I'm getting a couple examples. One, the rejection, and maybe this is in the workplace. Like, you just don't dip your pen in company ink and it's like, no thank you, but someone took it really personally. And I mean, maybe this isn't even someone that you'd be interested if you didn't work together, but you do work together, and that's the important part. And convincing yourself it's fine. It could also be maybe it was like a promotion that was suggested to you or something, like they wanted you in this position, but see how everything's on fire? It's like that dog meme, the little dog, everything is fine. You didn't want to take that on. Like, maybe they've just let things get so out of control. You're like, you fix it. Like, I tried talking to you for a really long time. I tried bringing these things to your attention. You blew me off, and now you want to throw me into the fire? No, thank you. I tried to help you. You snubbed me. Have fun. But maybe it's something like that. Like, this person created a bunch of problems that they can't fix, and they know you can, and so they tried to, like, coerce you into taking on a position that would have been an absolute nightmare. It would have been like trying to run a marathon with an anvil on your back. Something like that. No, thank you. I'll go work somewhere else. Not the only game in town. And I don't know, there's this whole overarching, like, neo-feudalism that's taken over our employment economy, labor economy. I'm so over it. Like, this is an employment arrangement, not indentured servitude. I don't have to do what you say. I can go somewhere else. Oh, I don't actually want this one yet. I want this one. So what else about this still not over it and everything is fine when it's decidedly not fine? Everything's on fire. Practicality. Yeah, get the fire extinguisher. Do something. Call the fire department. Don't call me. Moon in Capricorn. And control. Jupiter in Capricorn. But that was in reverse. Taking a practical approach because everything's out of control. Like, it's kind of... How do I put this? You kind of see it in spiritual bypassing when people try to apply, like, spiritual wisdom to a practical problem. Like, just things are not in their right lane. Like, people are trying to overcomplicate things when it's like, it's not that deep. Put some water on it. Like, if you don't have a fire extinguisher, do you have a lid? Do you have salt? Do you have something else? Can you do something? Because this is out of control. And the more you deliberate and don't actually utilize the knowledge and translate it into action, student in the shadow, the worse this is going to get. It's kind of like that, just deal with it. That's the inner adult hat that you gotta, like, okay, the inner child healing is not appropriate for this moment as that clock chimes. It's time for the tough love adult to lay the smack down and go, okay, get it together. And then get out the door because the building's on fire. literally. That's not a problem that you deal with from inside the house. If it's on fire, yeah, detachment. GTFO. Venus in, I was gonna say Aries, Aquarius. And I can't remember what this discipline is called, where they have the different areas of the head marked off. I was gonna say phlebotomy, but I think that's blood. I don't know. So I don't know, taking stock of what you have or what you're able to get out of the house. Little crackles. It's kind of like your go bag. If you have one of those, like a 3-day, if there's suddenly like a disaster, something like that, you have a 3-day clothes, water, something like that. Just to away. Because if you live anywhere with weather, it's pretty unpredictable right now. I just saw, was it New York? The flooding and whatnot. And the go bag doesn't mean you're necessarily going anywhere. You might be staying because you might not be able to go anywhere. That's like the other side of that coin. If it snows, something like that, and suddenly roads are impassable, then you're good for a few days. Don't have to worry. And you don't have to compete with the grocery store fervor, everybody trying to buy all the everything. So how are someone, don't know who, taking the reins on this? Because I'm getting kind of like rampage vibes, but like a quiet rampage, because everything's coming out in the shadow. So all covert sort of behaviors to try and steal from you, make your life a living hell, because how dare you have agency, you harlot. And don't get me wrong, I'm pro harlot over here. Live your life. Do what you want. I am absolutely not in any way, shape, or form a Puritan. Just be safe. That's my little spiel. Don't put yourself at any kind of unnecessary risk. That is many, so I'll take the bottom one. Warrior. Thank goodness. Oh, interesting. The blank one came out after that. I'm taking that, actually. So it's a warrior with unknown potential, but came out in the shadow again. Trading ethical principles for victory at any cost. Indifference to the suffering inflicted on others. Oh, man. The image that just came into my head. It's like at carnivals with the little gallery where you knock them down and then another one immediately pops up. It's like someone, this tyrant, whomever, has a backup. Like they lost their position in the theater, in the whatever organization, and whomever is taking over for them is very similar to them. Not holding regard for how their actions impact other people's lives. Just, it's their way, and as long as I get my way, that's what needs to happen. It's like an authoritarian leader taking over for an authoritarian leader, but they're more mysterious. Little crackles. A lot of crackles from that one. That's not typical. Be like, the first person was loud. First person was bolsterous. Is that the right word? Bolsterous? I think so. I was trying to think of a Game of Thrones example. But it's like, what was his bucket? The guy that got killed by the boar early on. King Robert, I think? And then Cersei taking over. Like, the increase in intelligence and, like, tactical and strategy and all that. It's obvious from their demeanor, but the potential is unknown. It almost feels like a punishment for doing the right thing. Like, how dare you bring problems to people's attention, so now we're going to make people's lives even harder. That's called retaliation. Not supposed to do that. Not allowed to do that. People do it anyway. People are doing that in the workplace, document it. Report it to the appropriate people. Which sometimes is HR. Sometimes it's an outside agency, depending on what you're dealing with. And I guess the way I view things, if issues, like really serious issues in a workplace, like, because this would be sexual harassment, of course, talk to an attorney, things like that, if you really believe that that is what, or you've observed that's what's going on. But if things are so bad that it's escalated to the point of harassment, things that impact people's progression in a company, when it's obvious they're the right person for the job, and they weren't treated fairly in some way, I feel like you can get, or there's more potential to get more effective outcomes, more meaningful outcomes if you go to outside parties, like an attorney, any sort of regulatory body that would deal with whatever issue you're dealing with. Because they're there to help. And if everything is kept internal, it's just massive potential for things to not actually get dealt with in the appropriate manner. Like the perception management. Like, give the impression that things are being dealt with, because they have all the power. They can control the narrative from where they're sitting. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this warrior in the shadow. It's more like the way it's being viewed is squashing the problem, is squashing the truth teller as those dogs go off. And it's unfortunate that people view things that way, that the problem is the truth teller and not what they're speaking on. And it puts the truth teller through a lot of distress, a lot of, like, emotional damages, things like that. Because they'll just paint this person in this light that they're this difficult and stubborn and they're too picky and they're being too strict and whatnot. Meanwhile, they're reporting sexual harassment. It's supposed to be zero tolerance for things like that. At least anybody with a conscience handles that from a zero tolerance position. And just some of those justifications, like, how can you honestly, like, ad hominem this, make this about this person when what they're reporting is harassment at a place they have to be, and if they don't, they can't keep a roof over their head. Like, you're literally punishing them for trying to survive. It's disgusting, cruel behavior. And this whole, like, mob mentality will get kicked up. And I don't know. I think there's specific psychology for that, like the psychology of a group. Replaying the breakup, yeah. Mental loops, guilt over analyzing. Because this was, what, can't get over it? Still not over it. So that's that replacement of, like, King Robert to Cersei. This would be like King Robert, just like, because he was a drinker, you know, like drinking a bunch and gallivanting with women and feasting and things like that, like just indulging, trying to numb the senses with carnal desires and whatnot. But then this other person is really calm, cool, collected, calculating. They're a much bigger problem. So what do we need to know about that person? It's a really interesting energy. It'd be like realizing Cersei is in charge of your workplace. Like, can you feel that icy, like the blood? It feels like it's leaving your body. And they're quiet. Versatility. Sun in Gemini, which we are in Gemini season. So happy birthday, Geminis. And it has that reputation for being two-faced because of the twins. So acting in duality, hard to read. Unconventional approaches to things. They may sound very reasonable. That doesn't mean what they're saying is reasonable. But it's like the tone, the inflection. It's like commanding the energy of a room. I just got another interpretation of this. This could also be, say some time has passed. This could be the new persona of the same person. This is Gemini. But they're still not over it. That's kind of like the threat system that was alerting in me, the fight or flight, that this person, like, stay away from this person. Like someone who is being so calculating to try and give the impression that they've changed, they've healed, they've improved, just to take some sort of, like, revenge about this. Because that came up in the last reading, that, like, a revenge plot was foiled. That doesn't mean they won't do it again. People like this can be very, very relentless. And, again, Laura Richards' work, something she says about psychopaths is they cannot be rehabilitated. They just get better at wearing the mask, wherever that went. I think it was the first one. It's hidden. That's fine. But they just get better at being psychopaths. And if someone is stalking and trying to ruin your life and whatnot, it sounds like pretty, was it antisocial behavior? Not that I can diagnose anybody, of course. Secrets, yeah. Venus in Scorpio. What a placement. Venus in Scorpio. Those are some deep feelings. That is giving me Stalker vibes. But, like, scary Stalker. Not like one that's really loud, like a X or something. it's like somebody that you wouldn't suspect. Because, like, you've never dated or something. But again, it's like that example of really casually turning someone down and then you become their fixation. Something like that. Or you stand up to them and you become their fixation to punish you. But this secret's like, that's a sphinx. Speaking in riddles. And that was Oedipus, I think. The 2 questions to the Sphinx, which I don't remember. And those are deep feelings, like feelings at the bottom of the ocean. Would never tell anyone that those feelings exist, but they're there. So what about these secrets? And this is much quieter here. It's like the mask went back on. We're gonna flip one? There we go. 2. Inheritance. Saturn in Scorpio, and Devotion, Saturn in Libra. 2 Saturn cards, both in reverse. Inheritance and Devotion. Huh. And there's, don't like this. 1 alive bird and 1 not. And unalive birds are not a positive omen. It is in reverse, though. So, I mean, inheritance in reverse, not getting something. Maybe something to do with your work? I don't know, like copywriting your work or something and then trying to sue you about it. And then the judge is like, this is obviously theirs. Like, this is very clearly not your work. Like, we can see that they did this first and then, or they just have a more innate understanding of whatever it is. And wasn't there like oh gosh, what was her name? She was a painter. And her husband took all the credit for her paintings. And so, like, in court, they had like an easel and paints and everything and put both of them up and said, go ahead. And she just like banged one out and he made excuses and everything. And then, okay, obviously she deserves all these royalties and everything. It's clearly like she is the one. I'm almost kind of getting too lying about feelings. It's almost like the asking someone out, the sexual harassment, whatever. That was a strategy. Look at that candle going. Not a true, they're actually interested. It's some sort of strategy to like gain closeness for revenge. And I don't know, just the vibe I'm getting from this is very, very Game of Thrones. Conniving, sneaky, trying anything and everything in the book to win at something they were doing that's wrong. But the only thing that matters is winning, not the ethics, not the morality. So, in conclusion, if this is ringing a bell, stay away from this person. Even if this is a person where you feel like you can't stay away from them, figure out how to stay away from them, or at least don't be alone with them at a minimum. something like that. No, like, if you're at a group event, something like that, and they're like, hey, can we go talk? No. They want to give you a ride somewhere? No. No, no, no. Mm-mm. Nothing like that. And I think a lot of women, just because of the way we're conditioned socially and the violence that we face, there's some sheepishness about being rude. Whatever. If you're in a group setting and you take a hard left from fine to not fine, of like interacting with this person, of like, just leave me alone, dude. Like, I don't know what your problem is. It's at least gonna get attention. At least there will be eyes and questions of like, why did she react to you like that? And then I'll probably be like, oh, she's crazy, whatever. But it's a discrepancy. It's a like a variable. So something to think about. Oh, my comfort show. It looks like there's two. Lucifer. And Rocky Horror Picture Show. A couple of good ones. I really like Lucifer, that take on the devil, on their humanity of he was rejected by his family. He led a rebellion after being betrayed by his father, by looked at as evil. And it's just such a good show. So interesting. Exploring those deeper layers of humanity through that celestial perspective. And Rocky Horror Picture Show, just fun. It's fun. And I think there's a new one in production right now. I have mixed feelings on that. I can be, I guess, a little bit of a purist. I don't have the same, I guess, quite feelings as if they were trying to remake like The Princess Bride or something like that. It's just like, man, just leave it alone. Because Rocky Horror Picture Show, that's fun to see in like theaters and stuff. But Princess Bride, it's just like, leave it be. Don't remake that. That is enough. Think of new things. But just be safe. When you're dealing with somebody who is going out of their way to pay attention to what you're doing, i.e. stalking, you can't take it seriously enough. A lot of people will downplay behaviors like, oh, they left flowers on the doorstep. What's scary about that? What's scary is they did it at 2 a.m. That's weird. Why can't you do things in the cold light of day? It's because they're doing something wrong. And those gut feelings, listen to them. I mean, really, worst case scenario, you might come across as rude. Who cares? I would rather come across as rude and not come across as a headline. So, overall, I hope this helps. I kind of hope it doesn't resonate, but I hope you do be safe and take care of yourself. We'll see you next time.